Hey guys, so I wanted to talk a bit about kind of what I've termed the cutesification of autism spectrum disorders, specifically what used to be called Asperger's. So I've noticed a lot of people in the neurodiversity community, like, I don't know what it is, but they'll treat autism like it's a cute thing. Like it's the exact same thing when people are like, "Oh, I'm so OCD about X, he so quirky," and I've literally heard the term autism or autistic used to basically replace OCD in that sense. I think what happened is that people realized, hey, OCD is actually a really debilitating disorder. Maybe we shouldn't say, "Oh, I'm so OCD," although a lot of people still do. But now the same people who say we shouldn't say I'm so OCD are now saying, "Oh, I'm so autistic about this, that, and the other thing." And it's like, isn't that the same thing that you're conflating just personality traits with an actual diagnosable disorder? And I can confirm that autism, even in its mildest form, is not a fun thing. I mean, you can see me now, like I don't look like it right now because I'm in a quiet environment. But whenever I go outside, I have to wear sunglasses and headphones just to modulate the sensory environment, and that's got nothing to do with society. Like people always say, well, it's just society that makes autism a disability, which is a whole nother rabbit hole. But it's like it's not cute, it's not fun. I don't know why anybody thinks a diagnosable disorder is cute or fun. And this is generally what the problem I have. I've said this before, but my main problem with the term neurodivergent, and granted, like I'm not much of like a language stickler when it comes to things like this. I feel in general, if you're communicating the same thing and you're communicating it in a way that does not intentionally degrade the other person, then I don't see a problem with the terminology. This is why I don't really care about like autism acceptance versus autism awareness, or like, high functioning versus mild, or mildly affected, all the terminology people use to describe certain severities of autism that have come into contention. But I do have a problem with the term neurodiverse, neurodivergent, which is being said more and more commonly these days, because it literally just, when you look what the translation of what it is, it literally means differently abled. It does not mean disabled. It means, oh, you just think a little differently, and that's all there is to it. And it's like, yeah, I think differently. Everybody does. Like, I don't see how that's a helpful distinction. But like, what is there that's wrong with acknowledging that I have a disability, especially because I have the kind of disability where when I tell people I'm disabled, they're like, "Oh, you don't really seem disabled to me." Like it's a constant battle for me to explain myself to other people. Meanwhile, people who are visibly disabled get like patted on the head and talked down to. So what is the problem with perceiving disabilities as what they are? What is such a dirty word about the word disabled? It literally just means you have trouble doing something, or you can't do something altogether, and that significantly affects your life. Like I don't see the issue with saying disabled. And a lot of people in the disability community are against the term differently abled for the exact same reasons I just pointed out. But then they go and they use neurodivergent and neurodiverse, and they really, really shun the idea of autism as a disability. And not to mention, they group all autism in like it's, like the terms they use for Asperger's, or what was formerly called Asperger's. They say all of it's neurodivergency, all of it's neurodiversity. And, little update on my whole disability progress thing, like my whole, I guess, academic and career thing, is I've been accepted into a program. I won't say what it is just because it's very local, it's very regional, and I know people very personally there, and I just don't want other people knowing about it, because it's a personal part of my life. But I'm in a disability program specifically for people with autism, and I think they occasionally accept other people with related disabilities. And it's like a maker focused program. It's an art focused program where we focus on creating things. We focus on achieving employment goals. We focus on achieving social skills. That's kind of the primary thing. But it's not really meant for people who are at the level I am. It's meant for people who are more intellectually disabled and clearly socially disabled, and they're being grouped in as neurodivergent. And so are like people who are profoundly autistic, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. I do have trouble with the term autism being so broadly used to describe literally every form, and even some things that might not necessarily be truly autism. It's just using the same word to describe a huge, huge variety. And the only disability I can think that's comparable in that scope that I also happen to have is cerebral palsy. You can have very, very, very mild cerebral palsy like I do, and be able to walk, be able to talk, be able to do most things, but you have some disabilities in some areas. Or you can be completely wheelchair bound, unable to really control much of your muscles, and everything in between, as long as meet basic diagnostic criteria. But I don't see anybody cutesifying cerebral palsy, right? I don't see anybody like, oh, like look at me, I'm on my little walker now, hee hee. I mean, there's people, there's people like the autism gender girl who are like happy about being in wheelchairs that they probably don't need to be about and stuff. But I think that's definitely the minority, and that's definitely not people who have actual disabilities requiring that they be in wheelchairs. So I don't know what it is with autism. I don't know why autism specifically is treated so differently. And I do see this with some other disabilities as well to a certain extent, like Down syndrome. But this is more like from an outsider's perspective. I don't see people with Down syndrome really saying this. But again, it's like, oh, people with Down syndrome, they're so cute and they're so kind and they're so loving and da, 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 da. And it's like they just have a disability. That's it. That's all. They're not different from any other person in that respect. And I absolutely hate to my core the idea that a person with a disability has to excel in some other area in order to be worthy to society. That I hate. And that seems to be really echoed in the neurodiversity community as much as they don't like the savant stereotype, right? I mean, I've seen multiple people say like the whole autism is the next stage of evolution thing, which is just like that's a legitimate theory. That's not just in that dumb Predator movie. That is a legitimate theory. That is something that has been echoed even by the likes of Temple Grandin, and I really like her. She's, I mean, obviously amazing. She gets a lot right on the autism community. She seems to be more focused, on the milder autism community, which is fine. That's totally fine. If that's what she wants to advocate for, that makes sense. But she is pushing, and so are other like autism experts, are pushing the idea that, oh well, maybe this is like how evolution is organized, that we get some people with severe autism so we can have the people with mild autism who come up with all these genius ideas. And look, that's almost like an intelligent design thing to me. That doesn't make sense from an evolutionary perspective. Nature is not that smart. It doesn't work that way. And the truth is, the people with autism like Temple Grandin who are super geniuses are a tiny, tiny minority. Even the people who are gifted, who have the Asperger's type of autism or like the more milder classic autism type of autism, most of us are just either average intelligence or like just normal gifted. Like we're not geniuses. We're absolutely not geniuses, and our struggles outweigh whatever gifts we may have. And a disability does not cancel out an ability. Like, I'm sure Stephen Hawking would have liked not to have ALS. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, I'm a genius, so therefore the disability part, it doesn't even matter. I'm sure Helen Keller would have liked to be able to see and to hear. It's not like people want this. And I'm really sick of people saying that autism is not a disability and it's just a difference, but everything else is a disability. Like, what are you saying about everything else then? Are you saying that it's bad and that, like, what are you saying about actual disability if you're so militant about the fact that autism is not a disability? And I know I've ranted about things like this before, but I kind of just wanted to get it all out. On this note, I think people are so afraid to acknowledge that autism, and it's like a 30 to 50% incidence rate, that autism oftentimes can come with intellectual disability. Like, they are so afraid to acknowledge that intellectual disability is any part of autism, that there are many people with autism that have intellectual disability. And you know what I say to that? I say, yeah, there are many people with autism who have intellectual disability, and that's fine. They don't need to be geniuses. Like, can we just have people with disabilities? Can they just exist? Like, people are so afraid. They always point out savant skills. They always point out autistic geniuses, and all of those are great, right, for those people. But what about the people who are never going to reach those abilities? Why are we giving parents false hope and those people false hope? And this relates to the whole facilitated communication thing, right? Like, oh, we're going to unlock this genius inside of our child, even though our child has a very severe form of autism. Why do you need to unlock the genius inside of your child? Why can't you just accept your child for who they are, and their abilities? Like, it really makes me angry because I don't see why so many people have this stigma and fear specifically of intellectual disability. And I think that's probably what's leading to a lot of the discrimination against intellectually disabled people and a lot of their treatment, even within people who are supposed to care for them. Like, I worked at a summer camp for about a month for people with severe intellectual disabilities and often accompanying disabilities that were pretty severe, like autism, like severe cerebral palsy, stuff like that. And the first thing we were taught was don't talk down to them. They are not, because this particular group we were working with were adults. Don't talk down to them. They're not children, they're adults. And right after being taught that, the first week where we actually were working with them, I noticed so many people talking down to them like they were babies. There was this one particular woman, I won't name her, of course, but she was just really dead set on it. Even after being like corrected on it, she would still do it. And it wasn't just her tone of voice, it was just the sort of words she used and the sort of phrases she used. And I'll notice this all the time, when I am working at or visiting my vocational program I mentioned. Somebody who doesn't know about it will come in and see one of the clients there I mentioned. And to be clear, I am a client, but my kind of career goals are to end up working there and working in similar programs. So I am being treated on the same level as the other clients, but people don't react the same way to me as they do to most of the other clients. And so they'll see a client there, and as soon as it becomes evident that this person is intellectually disabled, this person has autism and other issues, they'll start putting on the baby voice, or as I call it, the kitty voice, because the only time I ever use that voice is to talk to my kitty or my doggy. So, yeah, and it's and a lot of these people are, a lot of the people who are disabled are very self-aware. They're very yeah, maybe you shouldn't talk to me like that. I don't think people think, oh well, they don't know, they won't care. Well, even if they didn't, that's not an excuse to do that. And a lot of them do know and they do care. That just frustrates me. But yeah, anyway, just a rant. Hope you guys learned something from this video, and thanks for watching.